we're gonna shift gears a little bit. So last year around this time in March, the NCAA tournament started, and I'm watching, tournament games. I'm watching whatever NBA game was on ESPN that night, and I'm watching, both these games back and forth. I'm going, these are two completely different sports. Like the NBA is nothing now but 3-point shots.
Yep.
College basketball, there's actually real passing. You go inside, there is the 3-point line, but it doesn't feel forced. You know, I feel like there is this disconnect now. We're in the NBA. It's all about the free ball. It's all about the analytics. Guys don't play back to back, etc. College basketball is a more interesting product right now.
I completely agree. Like, is it cool to go to like check out the Cavs, see what they're doing every once in a while? Yeah. Is the playoffs interesting? Yeah. But like the thing that I really enjoy about college basketball is there's so much more variety in terms of team philosophy,
And
defense,
play
the
style.
play
Yep.
style. Like they actually run offenses and like they have their own schemes and what they're trying to
Yes.
do. It's really interesting watching all that. And as someone who lives near Cleveland, I'm going to the MAC tournament next week
Yeah.
on Thursday, and it will be really cool to watch the top eight seeds and see how they all play different, all back to back to back. It keeps things fresh, keeps things interesting. And like I get why it's the NBA has kind of evolved the way it has because at the end of the day, if you're in the NBA, 98% chance you're just really good at shooting the ball majority of the
Yeah.
time. Like I understand the reason for the evolution, but um
But
it
teams used to play different styles, and now everybody is playing the exact same style. It's just some teams, like the Nets or even, an okay team like Orlando, they try to shoot threes and they just don't have the personnel to do it, which is why you're seeing so many damn blowouts around the league.
right. I, and like see, it's wish I knew like a real solution to like or to incentivize changing it up and
So
everything.
so
You would think
here
the
so here's
scores would make
what
sense.
here's what I have advocated. I think in the NBA you move the 3-point line up to where the 3-point line is in college. I think if you, because I've heard all this talk about the corner three and eliminate that. I think it gets a little too gimmicky.
Yeah.
I don't like gimmicks in sports. But I think if you shrink it to where the college line is, you move it up a couple feet, you get these people inside, you'll get more collisions theoretically at the basket. And I want to see Wemby, Nikola Jokic at the basket, blocking, rebounding, doing all this stuff and not standing 20 feet away from the basket at the 3-point line the whole game.
I would argue I see what you mean by like it would add more like collisions, but also a part of me is like if you move it closer, then it's easier to shoot a three.
Yeah, no, you're right on that.
So it's like that's what I mean. Like it's difficult to think of like a true solution. Like you don't want to move it so far back where it's like then it's gimmicky because it's like, oh, the 3-point line is 30 feet away or
Yeah.
whatever the distance is. It's like the um it I don't know. It's I feel like at some point, like you would think the teams that at least aren't doing as well when it comes to shooting from range, they would, like you were saying with like the Nets and the Magic, it's like you would think they would adjust more and like just
The
like
the problem is though the analytics are telling these teams that a contested three is better than a wide open mid-range shot, which makes no sense in theory, but that's what the numbers say because three is more than two.
yeah, and now we're sounding like baseball, and this is not baseball.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
you're right.
it's like
And by the way, all the baseball analytics tell you strikeouts are okay as long as you hit a bunch of bombs. I'm sorry, I enjoy the way the Guardians play, which I want to see us hit more home runs, but we still get our base hits and we run the bases and we play small ball.
guard ball.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what makes baseball is again, baseball has different styles. Even in football. I mean, there's some teams have very clever offenses and do all these trick plays, and Some teams, it's hard for them to get a first down. I mean, it's true. The NBA just feels like you're watching the same thing over and over and over again. And I'll tell you what, Golden State, like without Steph Curry, they try this 3-point model and they're an unwatchable basketball team.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like I don't know. It seems like the only sport in general that works is baseball from more of an analytics perspective, in my own
Yeah.
assumption, unless you have the team and then like the,
See, I have been more in favor of the NFL and the political model going for it on fourth down, going for more 2-point conversions, not kicking as many field goals. I think it makes sense. I do think it's more of a feel thing. I think in baseball, regular season analytics work. I think in the
yeah.
postseason, though, you throw them out the window.
And well, I'm also looking at from the NFL perspective of the Browns doing analytical stuff and just completely being awful. So that taints my view of it a little bit. But it I, I don't know. It's almost like it's not a perfect science either way. You know, it's like you have you use a little bit of analytics, use a little bit of intangibles, and just kind of evaluate like what fits best for your team and figure out what works, what's a good formula for a winning team.
So I believe, as we talked about, college basketball is only getting better. Stars are staying in college basketball, which means I believe the NBA draft, not only is this draft loaded with the likes of, Boozer's kid,
Yep.
Peterson, Discutia, the forward from BYU. I mean, every major team. Houston's got a guy, Arizona's got a guy, Fleming's. There's so I think as more talent is going to enter in the NBA from college, draft picks are going to become more valuable, which is why you're seeing teams tank. And Adam Silver has come out and said the NBA has a tanking issue. Actually, in my opinion, you tell me if you disagree, it's not a tanking issue. It's a team issue. You look at the NFL. The NFL doesn't have a lottery. The Jets, Raiders, and Browns have been bad for years because they can't draft. In the NBA, the Wizards and Kings have been bad for years. It doesn't matter how good their draft picks are. They can't draft. That's the issue. It's not, oh, you can tank all you want. If you can't draft, it's not going to matter.
I mean, I mean, that's true. I mean, I do agree with that. I mean, and then you fall into your like, I guess the exceptions to the rule is when you fall into your actual like no-brainer generational players like a Cooper Flag like this past year, which he's been doing great in Dallas. It's like but once you get into those drafts where it's more of like a you actually need to think about it, it 100% is a
Yeah.
evaluation
Well,
problem.
even Cooper Flag, I think there's the difference between football and basketball.
Yeah.
Football, Joe Burrow comes in. The Bengals go from having one of the worst records in the league to a Super Bowl in 2 years. Patriots go from an awful franchise. They draft Drake May 2 years by hook or by crook. The AFC's down, but whatever argument you want to make, doesn't matter. They're in the Super Bowl. In basketball, Cooper Flag comes in. Mavs win 20 games. Victor Wembanyama, best prospect we've seen since LeBron, who also missed the playoffs his first 2 years in Cleveland. Spurs are irrelevant when these first 2 years. You have to develop, I would argue, a star, and it takes 3 to 4 years because these kids are coming in at 18, 19 years old. They come in, they can't even have a drink at the bar.
And that goes into just development of the rest of the team because like
Yep,
it's also like it you know you could always do the perspective of oh you could like get players in free agency or you can trade for players, but at the end of the day the sustainable way, like look at just what the Thunder have done and
yeah,
just basically like outside of trading for Shea, they basically built their team from the ground up through draft picks, and it
yep.
has turned out, and now they're going to be a perceivable juggernaut for at least the next half decade.
And they have good role players that gotten through free agency, but
Exactly.
most of their stars they've either homegrown drafted, excuse me, or they traded for.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a little bit of a bold prediction. As of right now, it could change, and history will tell me I'm going to be wrong. but this feels like a different year in the NBA. It just sort of wrap us up. We just talked about Wemby. I
Yep.
think the Spurs are going to win the title this year.
Pulling up the standings right now because it's been a minute since I've looked at them. I, you know, looking at things, I could see that. I mean, the Spurs, for example, they've been the Thunder's kryptonite majority of the
Yep.
season, and everyone would perceive the Thunder as the clear-cut favorite for the most part.
And as we know in the NBA, the last seven NBA champions have not made a conference final, and this is the parity era in the NBA. And I'm sorry, I will argue again. The NBA is the sport of stars and it's the
Yeah,
sport of dynasties. And I think the NBA is missing a villain. I think they're missing a dynasty. When we were growing up, the NBA was at its peak when Lakers and Celtics were both good, flipping back and forth. The Kobe Bryant Lakers that won two titles. We hated the Heatles. But you know what? We tuned in because we wanted to see them lose. The
yeah,
Cavs Warriors was the greatest NBA rivalry, arguably in the last 20 years. And this is no bias because they went to four straight finals together.
yep.
And I feel like, maybe we're getting that back. Maybe Thunder Nuggets or Spurs Nuggets or Thunder Spurs, one of those combinations becomes something. Maybe Cavs Pistons or, Knicks Celtics or maybe one combination in the East or whatever. Maybe it becomes something. But it does feel like I I liked the Thunder. I didn't care that they won the title. I had no rooting interest. There was nobody, SGA is a good story. He's not like, oh my God, I have to tune in to see this guy every night. Wemby feels different for me. To me, he should be the next face of the league. I think he's so passionate. I think his skill set is unbelievable, what he does at 7'5". I love watching him. I can't turn the TV off.
And I would say, I don't know. It's like this is just me not paying as much attention to the NBA's in the past like couple of weeks, but like I definitely could see, and I definitely agree with like the rivalry part as much as like me coming from being a Cavs fan, like the Heat were enemy number one because of LeBron, and then he comes back and then it's Golden State because they're like the big bad super team and they keep getting everyone. It would be great to see the Spurs like fill that mantle, but I don't know if they're there yet because they're like for the most part relatively likable, similar to like the Thunder.
Yeah,
It's but they need to
but
get to that point where they're
I mean,
like annoyingly good and winning all the
yeah,
time.
I mean, remember when to make a comparison real quick, Kansas City was sort of similar to Golden State. Remember when Golden
Uh-huh.
State came in, everybody loved Steph Curry. He was so cool. He was shooting all these threes. Then they kept winning. They kept winning. They get Kevin Durant. They keep winning. Everybody, oh, F Golden State. Kansas City was the same way, right? Mahomes comes in. Oh, he's the new Tom Brady. He's the new Golden Boy. Look at him doing backwards passes. Now all of a sudden it was, oh, Kansas City gets out by the officials. Taylor Swift's involved. Yada yada yada. I
Yeah.
can't stand this team anymore. But yet this year, the Super Bowl, it was Sam Darnold versus Drake May, and I'm sorry, absolutely no buzz or care of who won the game. That is my argument. We need people to root for and root against.
I would argue that at least with like yes, the Super Bowl didn't have like that marquee matchup, but it was kind of like a feel good story from bust to Super Bowl champion with like Sam Darnold or like
And
what I
I agree. I think my problem is I find Darnold boring. I don't think he has a great personality. I thought it was a good story. I mean, good for the kid. He overcame everything. Seattle was a great team. It is a good story. It's just, Darnold doesn't have the personality, I guess, to attract me to a TV set.
fair. That's fair. I mean, I don't it's we're just I guess like a weird spot from that standpoint then with there being a lack of that big bad in a way.
Which is why, hopefully Cooper Flag and the Mavericks get good soon because I think Cooper Flag, Anthony Edwards, Jokic, Wemby, you have sort of set the table here, SGA, obviously, Luca, for your next generation of stars. It's just the NBA has done what Major League Baseball used to do, which is not market them.
Yeah. And like the in particular too, I guess one thing that also kind of hurts is a lot of that next generation of stars. They're all in the West right now. You just
Oh, totally, 100%.
all the ones you just named are West teams.
Yep, which is why I can't wait for the expansion for the NBA because maybe the T-Wolves move east because they need it. Again, I know Jason Tatum just came back and we talked about it, and I know a lot of people view him as a really good player. And Donovan Mitchell for the Cavs, very good player. Cade Cunningham, very good player.
Yeah.
Giannis, you can make a case, was the best player in the East, but the Bucks are so bad, no one really cares anymore. Jalen Brunson's probably the best player in the East, and the Knicks are like a good team. They're
Yeah.
they're nothing special. Brunson's a good player. You don't tune in every night to watch Jalen Brunson. I would say though, for example, and my webcam just fell off. Sorry about that.
All good.
But yeah, I mean that's where I stand on it.
Uh yeah, it's I don't know, it's my stance is definitely, yeah, it would be good to have a little bit more of a distribution of teams with those stars. Um I would love to I don't know, and very well if the Thunder win again this year, if they pull it off, they could be the next big bad, and then whoever's coming in from the East, like maybe I don't know, like maybe it would be Celtics Thunder here for the next couple of years if Jason Tatum gets fully healthy and like they basically return to form. I don't know. It'll be interesting because we are like transitioning from the former generation of Curry, LeBron, and all of them to this like new generation. They
And
all
yet
kind
the
of need a
NBA still wants to hold on to Curry and LeBron. I mean, how many times are you going to put Golden State and the Lakers on television? The Lakers are not a good team. They may be
no.
a playoff team. They're not a good team.
And it's a shame that the big market teams get that much attention, and like they undeservedly get like that spotlight just because like the name recognition and that sort of thing. I
I
get it
have
from
argued for the past couple of years, and I think the World Series this year in baseball between Toronto and LA solidified it. And who knows, maybe if there is a lockout next year, it'll ruin all the momentum. I think baseball has become, once again, America's second favorite sport.
I would agree just with how electric the playoffs were this past season. They were
The last two, 3 years, I
phenomenal.
would argue.
Well, yeah, past 3 years, but like just in particular, and just like that World Series Game 7 was one of the greatest games of baseball
I
ever.
think it was so before Game 7 this year, I always said I thought Guardians Cubs game or Indians Cubs, I guess at the time, Game 7 was the greatest World Series game I've ever seen. Maybe the best baseball game I've ever seen. And Game 7 this year topped it.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with that.
Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.